All right, guys, welcome to our Be Brave team meeting for April 9th. Thank you guys all for hopping on. I'm loving seeing this turnout. So I'm really excited for tonight's call. So you guys know that I had this idea that when we have coaches pop Diamond, I really want them to get on and share their story. And last week we had a huge week for our team. We had 3 new diamonds pop, and we had 3 or 4 new emeralds pop. It was just a really exciting week. So when I was thinking about who I wanted to talk about this week, I was thinking about Jordan because in those last 48 hours before she went diamond, I watched this girl do things that she's never done in this business, and not bad things, but step outside of her comfort zone like never before. Just a little backstory. Kelsey had it locked in on Monday that she was going diamond. Heather had it locked in early on Wednesday morning, and Jordan and I were up till 10 o'clock p.m. on that Wednesday night to make sure that she was good to go. So it was just, I got to witness all of it, and I really just started thinking back. You guys know how nostalgic I am on her journey and how much she has grown and all of the crazy bad word ass obstacles that she has had to overcome in the last year or so. So I just really wanted her to share her heart, share her story. And I just want you guys to hear that although I always talk about how the concept of diamond is simple, right? You sign 4 coaches on this leg, 4 coaches on this leg, you get 2 of them to emerald, you're diamond. The concept is simple. The road to that is not always easy, right? And if it was, then you probably built a diamond that's not going to last. So I will quit talking, but I just want her to share her story, and I just want you to hear how she's overcome these struggles, and many times when she could have quit, she didn't, and she kept going. So Jordan, you can unmute yourself, and I will shut up, and you can take it away.
Hi guys. Okay, so my internet is working great this second. So if you guys stop hearing me or I freeze, somebody start like waving so I can do something. Okay. I am gonna start with my story, which is pretty long, so I'm gonna try and cut it down a little bit. But I really wanted to start with who I was when I started my journey, not my coaching journey, just my journey to being a happier and healthier person. So I'm the oldest of 5. I was 14 years old, and my dad unexpectedly passed away. And in that day, I all of a sudden grew up within hours and became like a second parent to my siblings. And it was almost like I was made for that my whole life. Growing up, I was always told I was such an old soul, and I was so, I was just, this old person in this little person's body, and I was just so mature for my age, and that's just who I was. And I never knew that it would make a difference in my future and have to be used. I guess I can say it that way. So I, took on all these different things that I shouldn't have at 14 years old. I was new in high school. I was a tomboy. I didn't have many girlfriends. I was kind of like the oddball, just hanging out. I was really just a family person. And so that day, my life crumbled. I don't know if any of you have gone through a death or something that made you grieve. And if you know anything about grief, you know that everyone grieves differently. And that completely destroyed our family because we were all battling things so differently. And for me, I was battling this internal struggle because I didn't want my siblings or my mom to know that I was struggling. I wanted to be strong. And that was when I started to be so hard on myself and to start taking things so hard. I mean, I was just, I would make myself believe that I deserved whatever was bad that was happening to me. And the way I took out my anger and my frustration was running. I ran from my problems from day one. And while that was great, years went by and I started putting on weight because I didn't stop eating. I was always eating. I was a huge emotional eater. And it was such a struggle. And I started to put on that weight, and like any girl, we were getting self-conscious. And I just was so worried. I remember in junior and senior year of high school that I didn't look like the other girls. I wasn't a partier. I just wasn't like them. And it bothered me that I was different, and that I stood out, and I didn't think in a good way. And so I graduated high school, said it was the best day of my life, and got out of there. And I tried to start this journey of who I wanted to be and who I was. But the truth was, I was still taking care of my family. I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't know where I wanted to be, who I wanted to be. But from a young age, I always wanted to help people. So I started nursing school, and I hated it. And I became a CNA. And I fell in love with that because I was helping people. I was working with them one-on-one. And so I had gotten a job at a hospital, moved out, I had been going to a gym. It was awful, taking diet pills, trying everything, not telling anyone, again, keeping stuff to myself. And I was going on a beach trip with my now husband, who I was with. I totally left him out of the picture. I started dating him a month after my dad passed away, which is absolutely crazy to like think about. But we have been together since I was 14. And so anyway, at this point, I'm 20 years old, and we're going on a beach trip with all of our friends. And I remember being like, oh, I think I like feel good. For once, I was never a confident girl, ever. I was always picking myself apart, beating myself down, changing into 25 outfits, whatever. That was me. And we went on this beach trip, and I actually like convinced myself. I was like, oh, I look good. Like I did really well. I'm going to go out and have a good time. And we ended up getting engaged, which was so super exciting. But I came home and I looked at all of those pictures, and they were horrendous. I could see how uncomfortable I was. I was so sad to see how far I let myself go, how much I didn't take care of myself because I was looking for the easy way out. Because my whole life, I was looking for the easy way out. I was running from my problems instead of running towards them and fixing them the real and correct way. And so we got back, and I remember I had been following Kristen for like, I don't know how long. And Kristen didn't hear this story until Summit last year. But when I first found her, I'm not even sure how I found her, probably a hashtag. I started following her, but I didn't really look at her stuff because she always seemed way too happy. And her transformations pissed me off. And I was like, this just doesn't happen. Like she's doing something else. And I followed her for so long, and I literally would just scroll past her stuff. I didn't like to hear her voice. Everything was just too happy about this girl. And I remember coming back from a run and looking in my mirror, because who hasn't like gone and done a workout and looked in the mirror and been like, oh yeah, are my abs coming out now? Like, oh, are my legs slimmer? Yeah, that was me. But I was picking myself apart because I was telling myself how bloated I looked and how I would never, I would never have abs, and I would never feel good about myself, and I didn't deserve to feel good about myself. And just awful thing. I mean, I said a lot worse things, but I'm not going to bring that up in this call. But I was horrible to myself, and I fell apart right there in front of that mirror, and I got on my phone and I started scrolling Instagram to make myself feel better. No. But I scrolled past Kristen's post, and I was like, shit. All right, well, I'm going to reach out to her, and she is doing something and is working. And, I feel like I've tried everything I need to give this a shot. And so I reached out to her, and I'm pretty sure I was like the easiest sale ever, because I was like, yes, sign me up. I'm putting my faith into you. And that's kind of how I got started. I got put into her challenge groups, whatever that was. I was like, sure, sign me up. Went in there, and I saw all of these people posting sweaty selfies, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be a part of this. And so I started to post my sweaty selfies and comment on other people's stuff, and to see them comment below and, tell me I'm a rock star, or, great job, or you look great. Those things just like blew me away. You guys, I came from a family that we all loved each other, but we didn't support each other anymore. We didn't tell each other, have a good day, you look beautiful today, you know, you're such a good person. Like, none of that. I had my boyfriend who was away, miles away at school, and that was about it. All of my friends had moved on, gone to college, they were living it up. And so to be in this group where people were supportive, where I could ask questions, where I could be real, and just honestly have like this little getaway was amazing. And so my first month went great, and I just started to notice changes, and I started to implement personal development, and y'all, I just felt so good. And what's crazy to me is how much I've grown from that point. Months later, right before I was getting married, I decided to sign up as a coach. And I just wanted to help people. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea where this would take me. I didn't know if this was really where I belonged, but it felt good. And that was what was important to me because I had never done anything for me. And so that's how I started coaching, and that's kind of how I started with that. So I wanted to kind of talk about the nitty gritty and what's kind of happened over time, and how I got here today to finally be a diamond coach. So as you can imagine, and I've talked about it plenty of times before, I had and still have, I had really bad anxiety. I still battle anxiety, and I had really bad depression. And to be completely honest, I ignored it. I pretended like it didn't exist, which made everything worse. And honestly, I didn't know how to deal with those things, and I didn't want to go to a doctor because of what happened to my dad. I'm very weird about that stuff. And so I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to be put on a medication. I'm going to make myself feel better. And that was really my mission in this journey. And I still, for a while, felt like I was the only girl who felt these things, who would wake up some days and not want to get out of bed, like not even want, but physically could not get out of bed. There were days in my coaching journey recently that I just couldn't bring myself to show up on social media because I couldn't be that happy person that I felt I should and needed to be for others who found me as a motivation. And it's been just very recent that I kind of like opened my heart up and shared a little bit more about what was going on inside of me, because I was afraid of scaring people with the way I felt and the things that I thought, and just a lot of things, honestly. I thought, nobody else struggles with this. Who wants to hear this from someone that's trying to motivate them? And I think that was my wake-up call. And I want to say something about this past weekend's Super Saturday. A coach came in, and she was the guest speaker, and she talked about your niche. And I know a lot of us try and focus on who our niche is and who we are and who we're trying to attract or whatever. And I've never felt like I've had one. Not yet, anyway. And she was like, you just need to forget all that crap and just be you. Speak to the person you needed when you were coming through this journey. And it was almost like an epiphany. Like I had just been thinking about all of those things. I had just been really bringing that into who I was and what I was trying to share, and to be more open and to be more honest. And then she just kind of like slapped me in the face with it. And it was really what I needed to hear, because I find those things that are said to me when I feel like I've been feeling that feeling, or I've been trying to implement those things as like my wake up call. Like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And so that's how I felt about it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to feel. This is what I'm supposed to share. This past weekend, I learned so much about these girls that I went with, and how much we all have our struggles. And I've known one of them for a while now. And it just made me feel normal. And I've never in my whole life felt normal. And I just think that's the coolest thing about this business, is that we are all here to support each other. And we all may look perfect, but we all struggle. And I think it's so important to share that struggle. I can't tell you how many times, after my dad passed, that I was living at home and I didn't know what I was doing. I was a 14-year-old trying to help raise 4 younger siblings, put dinner on the table, keep the house clean, play sports, go to school, do my homework, try to pass class. I had a job. I was trying to juggle all of these things, and every single night I didn't take care of myself. And I would go to bed and I would lay in bed. And I remember laying in bed just hoping and praying that I wouldn't wake up. Who at 14 years old thinks, or like, who thinks about that? Who feels that way? And that's what bothers me, is that there are other people out there that feel that way, that still feel that way. And it's wrong. We don't deserve that. We deserve a life that we love. We deserve to find something that we're passionate about, whether it makes a lot of money, whether it, our parents approve of it, whether your friends approve of it. You do what makes you happy. So I just went on a rant about that. But I wanted to share a little bit with you guys. For those that don't know, I am 22 years old, so I'm pretty young to be in this business, I feel like. But I have found other people that are young as well. And I think the hardest part for me, and still sometimes is my age. My friends are just graduating college, still partying, going out to bars, having the time of their life, or they have babies. And they're struggling to make ends meet. And I have no support on either sides of there. And, one thinks I'm crazy, thinks I'm too old and I can't have any fun, but I just don't choose partying and alcohol as my fun. That's just not who I am. It has never been who I've been. Like, I never fit in with that crowd. And so that's another way that I always felt different. And so I've never had that support from my friends. Has it bothered me? Yeah, sometimes, especially with hitting this big goal. For me, I thought, they're going to reach out to me and say, congratulations. They don't know what it is, but they're going to call and congratulate me and, be so excited. And nope, not one called. And, I just thought, I have my Fit Fam. How many people reached out to me that day who are amazing friends that I've met along this journey, who do support me, who do love me, who do know my heart, who understand what I went through to get to this point. And so, I don't have that support with my friends. My mom, my family, they don't understand. Oh, you're on some diet. Are you coming to Christmas? Does that mean you can't eat at Christmas? I get all of that stuff all the time. But it doesn't hold me back. I go to the family stuff. Oh, are you making enough now? With what you're doing, is it, giving you enough or whatever? And that's never mattered to me. You guys, I'm a freaking CNA. I don't work for money. I work from my heart, and I do what I love, and I help people. And that's just always been my thing. And so I want you to know that if you don't feel like you have that support around you from your friends, your family, your boyfriend, your husband, they're going to come around. They're going to understand and see that later when you're succeeding, when they see how happy you are, when they get over that phase of whatever they're in, partying, whatever, they're going to see that and they're going to understand that. And they're going to have, they're going to be so proud of you because you stuck with it. And whatever they said or whatever they thought, it didn't matter. And it's never going to matter. So I want to talk about how I guess I'll share how I got to Emerald. So I ended up signing my mom, who was drinking Shakeology, or is drinking Shakeology. And then I ended up signing up my husband, and that's how I hit Emerald. He drinks Shakeology now. He does the workout programs now. So that was fairly easy for me, honestly. Diamond was a whole nother story. This past year has been so difficult, so many challenges with what I went through, what was brought into my life, what the battles. I mean, there's just so much in this year, but I wouldn't change any of it. It was a ton of growth. It was forced growth. And it got me to this point where I feel good. And I know that this is where I was meant to be at this time. So I wanted to share with you guys, how difficult it was for me to hit diamond when everyone else talks about how easy it is, and how much that made me it made my skin crawl, because it is easy. Like, it can be easy. In a week, somebody can hit diamond. They can hit diamond right after they hit emerald. But that wasn't me. And it seemed like every time I got a step closer, I got knocked 10 steps back. And honestly, it got me down, and I struggled. I mean, it didn't matter what kind of personal development was in my life. It just wasn't enough. And I can't tell you how many times that I texted Kristen or whatever and was like, please just say something good, because you always say something good to lift me up. And I just really need that right now. And I think that's so important to say, because Kristen is an amazing leader. You guys, I don't know what other coach would have come chasing after me still a year later after hitting emerald, and I still haven't hit diamond, and she's still lifting me up in spirits, and she's believing in me. And holy cow, you guys, we are so blessed with Kristen, first of all. But she believed in me constantly when I didn't believe in myself, when I felt like I didn't deserve to be believed in. She was there. And I felt like there were many times that she was picking up my pieces. And I feel like that speaks volume about how much of an incredible coach she is, and how much I am inspired to be like that. And I think we all should. But as I was, finding these rock star coaches that I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dream person. She's got an amazing transformation. She's incredible. She shows up. She's, my first person that is the hardest worker and whatever. And I had 3 of those people, one being a family member, sign up and quit. Didn't tell me they were quitting. Nothing was said. That family member quit under me, went and signed up right under another coach, kind of bashed me, made me feel horrible, told me that I was, she felt as if she compared me to her abusive boyfriend, her past abusive boyfriend. The way I talked to her, told her that I wanted her to change, all of these crazy things. And if you know me, you know that I want you to express who you are. I am my own person. I struggle with my own battles. I am for sure not going to tell you how to live your life. But I want you to be open and honest. And that was what I said. And she up and left and moved on to another coach. And I struggled so hard with what to do, because if you don't know, you can't just up and quit and move to another coach. And sometimes they don't catch that. And I could have turned her in. And I messaged Kristen back and forth for so long. And I was like, I kind of want to be that bigger person and to not do it, because karma's going to happen. I didn't do anything wrong. And I struggled for a long time, and I struggled with who I was. That beat me into the ground so far. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to quit. It was bad enough that it was somebody telling me that, but then it was my family. I had to go around those people at Thanksgiving and Christmas and see them. And I was like, what the heck? I don't know what to do. I don't know how I should feel. Should I continue this? Am I a proper fit for this? And it's really hard for me to believe that I let one person drag me down. And if you knew who she was and how she acted, you'd be amazed too. But I let that beat the heck out of me and to drag me down, and it was wrong. And that's when I knew that I needed some better personal development in my life. I needed to do something more. And I just needed to move on. And I couldn't wait until that day that, I found ladies that wanted to be with me, that were inspired by me truly, and who loved to be surrounded by my fit fam and didn't, feel like an outcast or feel weird. And the day that I could lead an incredible team. And so I had three coaches up and go. I had one girl sign back up. She came back into my life, was like, oh my gosh, yes, I really want to do this again. Sounded too good to be true. It was. She signed up. She quit the next 2 weeks. And like I said, I was just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get here? And so I set this, for the first time ever, I set a goal date, which it's kind of bad that I took that long to set a goal date, but I set that goal date and I let Kristen know. I had multiple goal dates for different things, and I let her know, and I was literally sweating and freaking out about it. I thought I made a mistake. I shouldn't have told anyone. That's how I've always lived my life, was kind of quiet. You don't tell anyone, you just make it happen. And so that was really nerve-wracking for me. And in March, this past March, that was my 1 year of Emerald. And I definitely had a goal to be Diamond before that. And it didn't happen. And I was really kind of upset about it, because I worked hard to get there, but it was almost after that, I kind of just was I didn't set another date, and I was just kind of riding it out. And I'll tell you why I did that. And for me, I feel like it was something good, but it's not best for everyone. You do what you do. If goal dates help you, go for it. It does help me. I had to reset my goal date. But that initial one, missing that, I feel was really important to me. And this is going to sound super crazy, so I'm sorry if you think I'm weird. But in January, I went to a medium. It was a gift from my mom. Long story short, this medium used to come to her work all the time, once a year. And he ended up calling her in, and she had no idea. And anyway, connected with my dad, blah, blah, blah. If you believe it, great. If you don't, no hurt feelings. But the things he said were nobody else knew. The words he said, the things he said he was doing was obvious. I believed it. And so she surprised me this Christmas to go see him. And honestly, I was nervous. I didn't know what to think. And I didn't come prepared. I didn't have questions. I didn't know what to do. I didn't research him before I went. I didn't do any of that stuff. I went in just kind of open-minded, and I had only one question. I just wanted to know, what the thing that I was about to do, which I wasn't even going to say to him. I literally was going to say, the thing I'm about to do, is it a good idea? And for those of you that don't know, I'm quitting my job in July, and now you are the most people that know in the entire world right now, because I would never tell anyone, but I'm quitting my job in July and coaching full-time. And I just for some weird reason, just wanted to be I just wanted that confirmation. And literally when we started, I stared him down like a hawk. I was the very last person to go in the room, and I watched him, and I didn't believe him until halfway through the room. And then I was like, oh my gosh, the things he was saying, the things he was doing, just all of that stuff. It was freaking insane. And he got to me, and I pretty much was only, you're supposed to ask your question, say who you want to talk to and ask your question or questions or whatever. And I didn't even get to ask my questions. I just got to ask or say, I want to talk to my dad. And he immediately closed his eyes, and I was like, what the heck? I didn't even get to ask my question. I only had one. Why did you immediately kind of shut off? And so, he starts doing his thing, and I was like, what is going on? And he was kind of making these faces what? He didn't understand. And I was like, oh God, what is about to come out of this guy's mouth? And he was he opened his eyes, and he looked at me, and he was do, and then he was no, close his eyes. And then he tried again, and I was like, just get it out at this point. What are you saying? And he was you seem really, really young, but do you are you a CEO? Or do you own your own business? Do you do something like that? And I was like, I was still like, I don't want to tell him anything, but I'm going to shake my head. Yes. Like, And he was like, okay. And he like closes his eyes again. And I'm like, well, that was a whole heck of a lot. Like, and he starts, doing his thing. And he's like, your dad is like, he's like, this is your thing. Like that other job that you're about to leave. And I was like, I didn't say that. He was like, that other job that you're about to leave, like, that's nothing. This is what he's saying. This is what you're meant for. And he said that, and I feel like I forgot everything else that was going on, that was being said, that was said. Like, it just kind of hit me in the heart. And I was like, holy cow. Like, even if this was total BS, like, I needed that. And two other things that he said to me was, my dad said that I needed to be more intentional. And I was like, I don't know if that's an insult or like, what does that mean? How am I not being intentional? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so I was like, okay. So I like wrote that word down on my note paper while I wasn't crying so I could see what I was doing. And then he was like, he says like, you're really set on something. Like, he pointed to his watch and he was like, do you have like a date that you're stuck on or whatever? And I had just set my goal date and told Kristen, and I was really freaked out about it. Like, seriously, you guys, I freak out over the smallest things. And so I was like, yeah, like, I just set a really big goal for a date on a specific date. And he was like, well, he wants me to tell you that, timing, it's going to happen on your time. Whatever it is, whatever you're stressed about, whatever this date is or these dates are that you're stressed about, it's going to happen on your timing. Timing is everything, and it's going to happen when it's right. He was like, there's going to be jumps and hurdles, and just like with anything in life, you're going to get through it. And I like walked out of that room and I was sweating my butt off, and people are freezing in the room because they have to keep it at a certain temperature, like, I don't know, to talk to the spirits. I don't know. But I was sweating like bullets. Like, I just finished a workout and I was like, I don't really know how to feel. Like, I don't know what to say. I feel sick to my stomach. And I didn't know whether I should tell people because they're going to think I'm crazy. And, I just came to this conclusion, whether it was total BS, which would blow my mind if it was, or it was completely real, I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to follow those things, and I'm going to take that advice that I was giving, and I'm really going to stick to it. And so I started being more intentional, and that started with being more me. It started with stop looking at every other person that's on social media, every other coach that has things working for them when I feel like I have nothing working for me, and just be myself. Show up for myself, be myself, the rest will follow. And I started reaching out to people. I started, sharing more about me, and I was blown away by how many people were coming to me and like, oh my gosh, like, I go through this too, or I felt like this before too, or I'm so glad you shared this because I understand where you're coming from. And it's like, oh my God, like, I was being selfish. I called myself selfish because I was keeping it to myself. I was pretending that I was A-okay, that my life was perfect, that everything was going great, that, I was hitting my goals, and I was, rocking this whole coaching thing, when some days I wasn't. There were some days I didn't show up on social media. I would say December to yesterday, just kidding, December to like February definitely were like the hardest months for me. Recently, a lot went on. It's been 8 years since my dad passed, and this past year was like the toughest for me. I didn't want to show up. I didn't even want to get on social media. I didn't want to get out of bed. I had the worst anxiety attacks that I've had in the longest time. And I was pissed off about it because I was like, I don't understand where this is coming from. Why do I feel like this? And, another thing that this coach said, that was a guest speaker this past weekend, was she went through something and she was like, God literally put me in the dark to see the light. And I was like, me too. And, I struggled a lot. There are a lot of family things that are going on right now that are just like breaking my heart, literally breaking my heart, and things that I have to learn that aren't my place anymore. And I am my own person, and I can only do what's best for me. And that's a hard pill for me to swallow. But the same thing goes for my business. I can show up. I can be my best self. I can lead with my heart. I can show my challengers and my coaches the way, but I can't make them do anything. And that was a huge struggle for me. And I think the minute that I stopped, babysitting them and telling them, oh, you need to do this, like, this is why you aren't, getting what you want, like, I just shut up. And I gave them my best advice, and I showed up, and I was the example, and I led with my heart, but I also walked the walk. I didn't just talk the talk, which I was so famous for. You guys, when I was growing up, I never wanted to be a leader. I never thought I was good enough to be a leader. And I think anyone is good enough to be a leader. You have it in you. It just takes practice. And that was something that I was willing to admit to my coaches, to admit to my challengers, and then move on and continue to be better every single day. So a lot of coaching for me I've learned a lot from my personal life and coaching and being a challenger. Like, it's crazy to me how everything comes full circle in this life. So I don't know where we are on time, but I wanted to share with you guys how I hit diamond in this crazy short amount of time. I texted Kristen last weekend, the weekend before this past one, I think. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't going to tell you, but my goal to hit diamond now is by Saturday. And I was like, oh crap, what did I just do? And I don't know what really lit that fire under me, but I was like, something's gotta happen. Like, I can do this. I have it in me. And I have an emerald on my right. I had all the coaches I needed, but I needed that emerald on my left. And I was like, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do this. And I had to make my husband emerald. And so I signed a coach up under him who wanted to be a discount coach, which people who do not want to be a discount coach blow my mind, you guys. Like, why not get the discount, reap the rewards? So I signed her up, and it was a friend, and I kind of had to be honest with her. She just got pregnant, and she wanted to, she wants to have this healthy pregnancy. And so she was being serious about Shakeology. And I was like, look, you're having this baby. Here's the opportunity to save on Shakeology, because I know you want to be drinking it all the time, every single day. And, here's this. And then I reached out to her, and I was like, I just want to say, this is really important to me. I'm really trying to hit this goal in my business, which, you guys, I was sweating sending that text message. And she's one of my sweetest friends, and I was still sweating sending that text message, because I've never asked anyone or told anyone what my dreams or my goals are, because I didn't think that was my place. I've always been the supporter, but I've never really been supported. And so I sent it to her, and I was blown away by her response. She was like, oh my gosh, girl, absolutely. I've watched you fall in love with this opportunity. I actually want to see what this coaching thing is all about, because I just see how much you love it. And I was like, well, crap, maybe she'll really want to take this somewhere. Regardless, she's getting that discount, and she's seeing our coaching family and how amazing we are. And then the last one I needed was, I didn't think it was going to happen. She's a girl that since coming into my challenge groups, I remember texting Kristen and being like, I really feel like this girl is going to be a rock star coach, which I'm trying to tread lightly, because you know how my other rock star coaches turned out. But I really like this girl. I just feel like this girl is what Kristen always believed me to be. She always saw this in me, and I just had to prove that. I had to want it myself. And so I kind of had to feel her out, see how she was doing, continue to be there for her and to support her. But I just watched this girl take off in the challenge groups and support everyone in the challenge groups and just be this light. And so I brought up the coaching opportunity to her, and she was like, abso-freaking-lutely, like, I've been thinking about it, but she was like, I'm still a little hesitant. And I was like, oh crap, like, I really want to make this happen by Thursday now. Like, I don't want it to happen Saturday. Like, I want to hit diamond Thursday. And so I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And so I ended up talking to her more and just sharing with her more. And I was like, I kind of was just honest with her. I was like, I have this really big goal to hit, and like, it's just perfect timing. Again, like, I don't know this girl personally. She's in my challenge groups, met her online. Like, so she was not a friend, which was like, first of all, like, super difficult for me. But I was like, should I say something? Should I not? And she was like, absolutely. And it just blew me away, you guys. I hit freaking emerald for my husband in a week. It took me, I don't know how long to hit emerald the first time, but it took me forever to hit this diamond goal. And I grew so much in that week, in those hours, that I just never expected. And it still like gives me butterflies and makes me sweat. But now I know it's possible. Now I know that I can do that. And it was just so crazy. And I cannot wait to keep implementing like this growth and who I am and who I found myself to be, and just keep pushing. But I hope you guys froze on me, so I hope you guys heard everything. But I think that's all I have for you. I talked a whole lot. But if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Maybe.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I know it was hard because even just thinking back on the last year, I don't even know that I would have been able to tell you enough to talk, like to condense it enough to talk about in 45 minutes, because it has been a true roller coaster ride the whole time. But I think the biggest lesson that I really saw in you is I see coaches set those diamond dates all the time. And I'm going to throw this out there. Your original diamond date this year was back in January. And that didn't happen. And it's so easy to have that not happen and then say, well, crap, I'm just going to throw in the towel and just give up. And I'm going to throw a couple other obstacles that you encountered. You had one of your best friends in this business who you guys are success partners, go diamond before you. And that was hard. Like, as much as we love each other and support each other, like, FOMO happens and we start comparing, like, what is she doing that I'm not doing? And, and then we started seeing diamonds on our team popping too. And I think that momentum probably helped light that fire under your butt a little bit more. But it could have easily shattered you instead of motivating you. And I think that's just the biggest lesson, is that we have to choose that, right? Like, we can let all of these obstacles that are going to come, all of the uncontrollables that the world is going to throw us, like, bring us down, or we can say, like, okay, what can I control right now? Let me focus on that and take it one step at a time. And so I am just very proud of you. But does anybody have any questions for Jordan?
I don't have a question, but I also wanted to say how proud I am of Jordan, because I have also, like, I just met Jordan in July, and how much I know about her is just, like, it's amazing just seeing the transformation since then, just seeing her grow since then. And me kind of like growing along with her.
You guys have both grown a ton. Anybody else have any questions or anything about what her diamond looked like, about making her husband emerald or anything? Nobody? Okay, well, I will let you guys go if you guys don't have any questions, but I will have the recording posted in the team page tomorrow for any of you guys that want to share it with your teams, coaches. The Shred Nation call should be getting started in a little bit. I got to spend the weekend with Rob and Chelsea and hear Rob present a similar presentation to this at Super Saturday. If you guys have ever heard Rob talk, he knows numbers like they are just his jam. And when you hear him talk about the potential amount of money you can make in this business by leading with your heart and helping people, and him and Chelsea are the most generous people I've ever met. Like, they truly are millionaires so that they can help people. I bet it inspires the heck out of you. So I really encourage you guys to hop on that. And if you can't, I totally understand, but I will also post that recording tomorrow in the team page. So thank you guys for all being on. I love you, love you, love you. And I hope you have a fantastic evening.